The QPR podcast is brought to you in association with partypoker.com. Sign up now using the bonus code QPRPOD and Party Poker will match your initial deposit.
QPR, QPR, Brisbane Rangers are on the up and up. QPR, QPR, now we're heading for the European Cup.
Hello and welcome to the QPR podcast. I am David Fraser and I'm joined tonight by three other QPR fans. Chris Mendes to my left of ITV Sport.
Hello.
Good evening. We also have Jim Evans returning for another appearance on the podcast.
All right. Sorry, that was my Paul Finney. Hello.
Well, we had to have him. He's not here this week.
More Brummy.
In his place, maybe piling pressure on you.
Never a replacement for Paul.
No. QPR podcast debutant Simon Rain.
Hello.
Welcome. You've come very well prepared, Simon. I see. You have notes. You will learn. You will learn.
Boxes, diagrams, everything.
We definitely need to take a picture of that. Let me have a look.
It's PowerPoint wonderful, isn't it? It really is.
Wow. Look at that.
You can see I have such an important job.
Categorised. We've got pictures of Nicholas Bentner, which I assume is some kind of Nicholas Poulter comparison.
The hairstyles are similar.
It's
the
almost...
phrase "New Leroy Griffiths" is written. Let's tackle that one straight away. Who's the new Leroy Griffiths?
Emmanuel Thomas, who I thought had a shocking game on Saturday. Very kind of powerful and strong as old Leroy was, but quality-wise, I think lacking slightly.
Oh, you just knew when he missed that chance they were going to go and score.
You've actually set this out, and we will tweet a picture if we haven't already. You've set this out as each player's got a little box with notes. This is amazing.
It's like the formation as well. Have you noticed? Like
and also
4-4-1-1-1-1.
Yeah, exactly. And if we struggle with what to talk about, we can always come to you, Simon. No, sorry. I think I did that to you last time, Jim. Actually,
Yeah.
You came with a brainstorm
I'm a spidergram sort of guy. I was very. It was a weird game. I was quite surprised at the boos at the end of the match. I mean, It was disappointing to throw away a 2-0 lead. Of course it is at home, but I mean, I'm kind of caught in my head, like, you know, the passionate fan, you know, kind of just expecting the ridiculous, but also like, what do we expect? You know, right? And then I was thinking about it the next day, and I asked myself, would I want to be in Cardiff's position? They have a new stadium. They weren't in the Premier League that long ago.
Yeah.
And they might have a challenge for the playoffs, maybe. Would that be a better position than QPR's right now? You could argue that it probably is.
They think they're in a terrible position. I know this because my father-in-law is a Cardiff City season ticket holder. He comes with me every year. He does what I would never do. I probably shouldn't admit this, which is sit in the seat next to me with his mouth shut. I would never ever sit in the home end, but because he sort of comes and sits with me, and they can't stand their manager, think they could get relegated, definitely think they won't reach the playoffs. So I'm not sure they would. Well, with us. Yeah, that probably indicates a kind of just perpetual dissatisfaction.
The doom of a football thing.
Exactly.
Well, listening to the post-match interviews afterwards, they interviewed Charlie Austin and Malone on the pitch, who scored the winner. And two things I took from that: Charlie Austin clearly doesn't want to be there. He wants to be in the Premier League, which is fine, and he deserves to be. And the guy who got the equaliser from Cardiff said that it was a game between two teams that will be pushing for the top six, and I just don't see that.
I hope, for a pure entertainment basis, I hope not, because that was Championship at kind of exactly middle of the road fodder. Yeah. There was very little quality on show throughout.
Cardiff's goal went in. I was like, how dare you do that in a game which was just
that was the best thing in the whole match, was Malone's equaliser. In terms of football quality, that was a good finish, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What did you think, Simon?
Just going back to the boos for a moment, I think people have kind of very short memories of the start of seasons gone by relatively recently, of getting kind of spanked 5 and 4-0. We have a very kind of new-ish side, a relatively kind of young side as well. Kind of time needs to be given for them to bed in. And I actually found it quite enjoyable to go from a first home game, not 5-0, not bottom of the league. So kind of count your blessings to an extent.
Can I just say I love Sebastian Poulter?
Well, should we do Sebastian Poulter now?
He's just
the new Nicholas Bentner.
Well, no, he tries more than Bentner. For me, There's something kind of wonderful about watching this guy maybe develop. Like, he clearly tries hard. I know he only came in for like 20 odd minutes or so, but there was one bit he tried to play out of defence and nearly gave away a suicidal ball, and then played a really nice pass in for it.
There's some
Emmanuel
players
Thomas.
you can immediately tell are going to be, quote unquote, a character. And the guy is obviously a clown. Like, you can tell that immediately. But there's sort of immediately also something quite endearing and charming about him, isn't there?
Yeah.
Sort of running around. He gives the cliche 100%, as you can tell. He runs around. He's got a try-hard ponytail.
He kind of looked like a lost little boy to me. A very big lost little boy, but a lost boy at the same time.
Oh, no, I loved it when he, like shielded the ball from about 3 Cardiff defenders in the bottom left-hand corner near the loft. I just started laughing. I was like, brilliant. This guy's going to bring some entertainment value. I don't know if I could trust him to finish it.
No.
But a kind of... It's really refreshing to see somebody that I know very, very little about, and we've not paid for past performances. That's what we've done the last few years. We've paid for... They did this, 50 games ago for 10 games. We don't know what this guy's going to do. He might be dreadful, but he could be great.
Yeah. I wasn't convinced with our formation. When the team came out, I didn't have a clue what formation we were going to play. It just didn't seem cohesive when we were playing.
Well, I think either this week or next week is the 1-year anniversary since the sad tragic death of the 3-5-2 system. Or was it 5-3-2 or something?
Yeah, it was the sweeper thing.
Yeah, that lasted all of one and a bit games.
Whole City?
Well, that was never going to work with a 35, 36-year-old sweeper in Ferdinand.
What was more weird was a manager that's been a manager for 25, 30 years doing something that he didn't do before. And the thing about formation is interesting. I think when I remember Leicester coming when we were in the Championship last time and dominating, they played 4-4-2.
Yeah.
And they basically had...
Vardy and Nugent.
Exactly. They had mobile wingers, people with decent positioning up front, and people that would win the ball and pass it in midfield. And it sounds like, when you look at that, and I'm going to give Rangers quite a lot of time because I want to, and I think ironically it's time to give time, as it were. But when I saw that, I thought, I think we need to play 4-4-2 in this league. I want to be proved wrong, but I thought back to how Leicester, and I think Burnley also did the same. They had Ings and Vokes, and then they had some decent wingers. I think did they have Kitely and I can't remember who else. Maybe Chris Eagles. I'm not sure, but 4-4-2 seems to be the way forward. I think in Championship.
I'm not sure we have a good enough central midfielders to do that. Like Henry, as much as I dislike him, we miss something with Barton. When he's gone now, we don't really have that bite in midfield.
And that's the moment Simon points to his page of notes, and there is a box there that says the Barton question. What is the Barton question, Simon?
Would we be more likely to go up this year if we had a commanding figure in the centre of midfield? Because I felt we missed Barton on Saturday. Yes, he has his issues. Technically, I don't think he's up to Premiership standard, but as a Championship central midfield player, I don't think there's actually anyone better. And it amazes me that we just didn't at least give him kind of an extra year on his contract to kind of help us get out of the league.
But there's 2 issues around Joey Barton, aren't there? I don't think anybody really disagrees that he can do a job in the Championship. I think that's his level. The 2 issues are the amount of money he costs, and if we're asking QPR to be a bit more sensible and a bit more considered now, reported 70 grand a week is far too much to be paying at that level, when reportedly we backed off from Tim Ream because we wouldn't go higher than 15 grand a week. I don't know if that's true or not. And the second one is the question mark over his sort of attitude, I suppose. Was he the bad egg that he was accusing everyone else of being? There perhaps I'm guessing, but that would be the reason why we don't still have Joey Barton at the club, wouldn't it?
If he did help us go up this season, I'd rather we didn't have him, because I don't want us to go up this season. I just think we'd go straight back down because we're not ready for it yet.
I'm really glad he's not about. I think he got sent off maybe 4 times to QPR, but I might be wrong there, but 3 of the times were really, really crucial matches. That game against Norwich, that was stupid. The game against Hull, which was just like, what are you... You're a professional. This is your job. What are you doing, you clown? And then obviously everybody knows the Man City. And all of those... obviously every game's important.
I still always feel sorry for him about the Man City one. I still always feel sorry for him because he got a proper dig from
he was slightly...
Tevez.
He was. But the thing is, there are 21 other people kind of... All right, he didn't get the dig. They didn't get the dig from Tevez, but it's just like, Joey, you've played so many games. You should know.
It's true.
Look at the bigger picture. As a man studying philosophy, look at the bigger picture and see what's going on here. And think, do you know what? I'm just going to take one for the team, as it were, rather than completely ruin the team. We were so lucky to stay up that season, and he made it worse that time.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's gone, and I'd much rather invest my time and effort in somebody. They're not the same player, but Luongo impressed me a lot at the weekend. And, I'd rather have somebody like him.
What do we think of Cherry, Luongo and Gladwin and how they did on Saturday?
Well, I was quite disappointed that Cherry only got 55 minutes and kind of wasn't given the opportunity to really kind of power himself
why
into
did
the
that
game.
happen? He brought on Doughty.
Well, he said after the game, he just said, I just felt for both Cherry
felt we needed to
and
defend the
Austin.
lead, right?
No, he's just said for both of them, he said, I just looked like they'd given everything. And,
I thought Austin wasn't fit. He didn't look fit to me.
Well, there were a couple of times in the game where I think they may have both been in the first half where, I don't know, it might have been Matt Phillips one time and possibly a different Gladwin another time, that they just fizzed the ball across the goal line and there was no one there to put it in, and you just know that a goal scorer of Austin's quality should be there to put it away.
Yeah, I mean, it's going back a bit, but the friendly against Dundee United, I think, was one of his first games back, and Austin was slow. And I don't think he looked... I mean, hey,
That's what happens when you get married.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Take your eye off the ball.
That's true. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to say it's terrible. Cherry's the icing on a terrible cake at the moment. I'm sorry. I didn't even prepare that, but there you go.
I think we'll leave that there because we've got an interview now that we've got to go to. Saturday, the game against Rotherham is Stan Bowles Day, which is a sort of benefit day for club legend Stan. He's recently been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, as I'm sure everybody knows, and there's various things going on. We thought, who can we get to talk about Stan and pay a tribute to him? No one more fitting than club legend himself, former manager, former teammate of Stan. On the line now, we've got Jerry Francis. Jerry, thank you for joining us, particularly ahead of Saturday, which is Stan Bowles Day. Start off by giving us your tribute to Stan Bowles and how you think of Stan.
Well, I think it's... I remember Stan first coming in. I think they brought him from Carlisle for £110,000, if my memory serves me well. And he'd been at Man City and had a few problems there, and I think at Crewe and one or two things. I think he'd have a little bit of reputation, be difficult to handle, a bad boy, whatever the situation was. But when he came in, just from day one, as a pair of footballers, we just had this unbelievable rapport and understanding, really. We could actually play the ball to each other blind, and it was just from absolute day one. And, I've never really had a sort of relationship or understanding with anybody else since. So those few years, or those number of years at Queen's Park Rangers, through the fantastic year of 75-76 when we nearly won the title, going into European football, where Stan broke the goal-scoring record in European football, I seem to remember. To be perfectly honest, he whenever I see Messi now, he always reminds me of Stan and the way he was and the way he moved and the way he saw things, both our only regret was that we both played for England at roughly the same sort of time. Obviously, I went on to captain England, but Stan didn't get nowhere near, the caps he should have done. But we never played together. And that was such a shame because obviously he brought out the best in me and I brought out the best in him. So it was a real disappointment to us both that we never actually played for England together. For one reason or another, he was in the team and I was injured, or vice versa, whatever the situation was. But certainly, as a character, I mean, people all know about the stories, of 2:45 and he's still in the betting shop round the corner.
Were they true?
Yeah,
From in your experience?
I mean, it was did get Dave Sexton down a little bit. I don't know if they left it, 3:15 or 10:03, etc., etc. But certainly, certainly before that. I mean, but that was Stan's way of relaxing. There's no doubt about that. I mean, he if he had to sit in that dressing room, like they do now, shall we say, and be concentration and preparing, that would probably drive him mad. Stan had to have something else, happening or do something, so it just sort of took away from the game. I mean, I remember I've spoken about it before, but we were actually training at Rystep, I think, and we were playing Arsenal in the evening, and Stan said, "I'll come back to my place and we'll have a bit of dinner." And Anne, his first wife, she got all the dinner for us, and we were in his lounge, and there was a 3-piece suite there, table, television, and we were sitting there, and Anne had just brought the dinner in, and there was a knock at the door. And when I opened the door, it was the bailiffs. They took the television, the 3-piece suite, and all that was there was our 2 dinners on the carpet. And that was Stan. And then, we went and played Arsenal in the evening, 2-2, and Stan got both goals. That's that Stan Bowl summed up to a T.
Jerry, is it true that, 15 minutes into a game, he'd be rushing over to the touchline to find out how his horse did because his mate was in the front row?
Well, I don't know. No, I don't think. I mean, one thing I would say about Stan, with all the bits and pieces of things about Stan from that point of view, Stan was a winner. He wanted to win.
Yeah.
He was somebody that wasn't out there just to nutmeg somebody. He wanted to win and he wanted to do well, and then he had that about him, and that was really good. That's why you don't sustain that level of football at the highest level and score those goals year in, year out unless you've got that winning mentality about you. And certainly Stan had that. He was a competitor. He did have his, in different situations, about his life, which is that's how he was. That was his character, and that's obviously never changed. But certainly in terms of training and wanting to win and wanting the team to win, he was certainly top of his class in that respect.
We've got a long list of one-liners that he's famous for. Have you got a particular moment that stands out of your QPR career of Stan?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Have you got a particular moment that stands out of your time together at QPR?
Blimey. Obviously, the one I told you about is how stands out for me. But I think on the pitch, there's one that stood out with me. I think him and Malcolm McDonald had a bet, I think, once about who would score the winning goal or the goal. I can't remember what it was against Newcastle. I think Stan scored it in the last minute. And I remember him jumping up in the air in front of Malcolm McDonald, and there was a picture in the paper of him doing that. And I always remember, with his cheeky face, and it was just epitomised sort of Stan and the way he was, I mean, obviously, there's loads of memories, etc., good and bad. I remember we both went to watch the Liverpool Wolves game, for the title. There we were, title winners for whatever amount of days it was, and it was really hard to take watching Liverpool take that away from us in the studio, And I think we went there together, and we were going out, but we both went our separate ways. We were that fed up, I think. So, good and bad times, but certainly it was a pleasure for me to play with such a tremendous player and such a great football brain, really. I could run past him, and I knew that in a few seconds that ball would be coming past into my stride for me to go for goal. I mean, he was an outstanding player and should have played, for me, a lot more at the highest level in terms of England.
Jerry, many of our listeners won't be old enough to have seen Stan play. For them and others who are big QPR fans but perhaps haven't seen Stan play, explain what kind of a player he was and what the impact that he made on the club.
Well, I'd say you've only got to look at Messi. I'm serious. I think that he had the same shape about him, a bit taller. Obviously, probably Messi's got a little bit more of a change of pace than Stan. Stan was still very mobile, great tricks, turn people inside out, just like Messi does on his left foot, in and out, could pass the ball with the outside of his left foot as he could with somebody, with a right foot, but he still could use his right foot. I've seen him come inside and curl it into the far corner of his right foot. He was such an intelligent footballer, knew everybody around him, where they were. For me, every time I watch Messi, it reminds me of Stan, and that was before he was a, renowned, top world-beating footballer. Even when he first come into his football career, I watched him when he played out wide on the right wing, and he was very, very similar to Stan then, and he always reminded me of him.
The West 12 Messi. I like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And just
to number 10, don't they?
Yeah. Just the last question on Stan, really. The Stan Bowles Day is on Saturday, and it coincides with the 40th anniversary of the 5-1 win at Derby County when Stan got a hat-trick. What are your memories of that day?
Well, they were obviously the reigning League One champions, Derby, when we went there, and we won 5-1, but it was a much tougher game than that. I mean, Derby's pitch was never the best, well, I don't suppose people remember, but it was always not the greatest of pitches. But at times we were under a lot of pressure during that game. But our turnover and our breaks and the way we changed pace and got into our forward movement was tremendous. And certainly we were a real good footballing team on the break or in possession. And, there were some fantastic moves in that. There's a 75-76 video that a couple of people have done, and some of the games and some of the football was fantastic, and it's a pleasure to see and remember after all these years. So for that the 75-76 season for me, from one game to the next was an outstanding season. It's worth looking at to see the sort of football we played, and that was at a time when you could really tackle. Then Stan had to take a lot of stuff from behind, which wouldn't happen nowadays. The top players are with skill and ability are much more protected nowadays than they were in those days. You really had to look after yourself. You used to take a lot of sticks. So it's worth seeing if you haven't seen it.
Hi Stan, Simon here. In my opinion, we kind of miss players in the modern English game of the style and fashion of Stan. So kind of two questions from that. Kind of firstly, would kind of Stan make it in kind of the current climate? And two, why are kind of these players kind of not coming through to the English game and kind of not really making it very much so in the Premier League? Kind of the idea that comes to my head, kind of the player recently at QPR, Adel Taarabt, kind of just faded off, very much the kind of the Stan mould. Kind of just wondered what your opinions on that were at all.
Well, I mean, if you're asking me, would the players that I played against, like Pele, Revellino, Cruyff, Neeskins, Beckenbauer, make it in today's football, and Stan Bowles, I mean, for someone that's in 2 years' time been in football for 50 years at the highest level, not only make it, they would be outstanding, basically because of the difference in pitches, the difference in equipment, the difference in psychology, the technical difference in terms of not being able to be kicked anywhere you like from behind. It would give the top players even more ability to show what they can do and what they can't do. Some of the players that are stars today, would they struggle in the days when players could go right through the back of them and have to get up and start again? So I think there's no doubt that top players from the 60s and 70s when I started, the top players then would be top players now, and probably even more so because they would have a lot more protection and a lot more fitness levels, a lot more science to go with it, whether it be from an eating point of view, diet point of view, fitness point of view. I mean, it's so much better and easier for players today than it ever was back in those days.
Jerry,
what was the other question?
It was kind of we've had a kind of a recent kind of folk hero in
I
QPR,
mean,
kind of Adel Taarabt, and kind of he kind
I
of
saw
failed.
Taarabt and Stan Bowles, and I wouldn't say there's much of a difference between the two. I think they're worlds apart. I think Taarabt had great ability in terms of he could do things on the pitch and score some wonderful goals, but his desire to work for me, and like I spoke about Stan, desire to want to win games was a real question mark for me. And you would see Taarabt one week and he would look, outstanding. You see him next week, you wouldn't know he was on the pitch. So I think, that consistency of performance is a must. You have to really have a major desire. All of the top players that win the top competitions and win things at the highest level, not only do they have the ability, know-how, technique, but they have a major will to win and to work as a player. And I think that's what you have to have. Loads and loads of people I've seen with great ability never even make it to professional, or if they become professional, never make it any further than that. But they've got great ability because you've got to have a heart, a soul, and be prepared to roll your sleeves up and sweat.
Jerry, what have you made of QPR's start to the season? And is it true that you held talks with the club during the summer about joining the coaching staff?
Yeah, no, I did speak to Les and Chris. It's no secret, and they did ask me. And obviously, after my 20-odd year association with the club, nothing would have given me greater pleasure than to help Queen's Park Rangers in some way, if I could. But I was committed, to Tony Pulis and to West Bromwich Albion. So, unfortunately, that wasn't able to materialise. But certainly, I think it's great to see Les back at the club, and I think that I think Chris needs a little bit of help and time at the moment because it's a big transition that they're trying to do now. Last time they went down, they kept all of the top players. They added to that and obviously managed to get back up. But the situation at the moment is obviously a lot of things have changed around. A lot of players have gone, a lot of players have come in. And, there's a real tough competitive league, the Championship. And certainly, it might take a little. If they get promoted this year, it'd be a fantastic job. But I think, you might need a little bit of time, both of them, Les and Chris, to sort of get the club up and running and back to as it should be and get in that Premier League. I mean, this is my 15th year in the Premier League now, and it's a tough division. And but you've got to get there and stay there if you really want to build your football club on and off the field. I mean, QPR, they do need a new stadium for me. They do need new training facilities, and if you can stay in the Premier League for 4 or 5 years, like what happened at Stoke, it's amazing what you can build. I think we had porter cabins that leaked at Stoke when I first went there. 5 years later, we were, FA Cup finals in Europe, Level 1 academy, and a 27 million state-of-the-art training ground. So that's the sort of things you can build on if you can stay there.
Jerry, thank you very much for joining us. I know you've got to pop off now, so we'll let you go. Please do come on again, and great words about Stan. Really, really appreciate you coming on.
Great, mate. No problem.
Take care.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
Bye, mate. Bye.
West 12 Messi. What do you think of that?
I like it. Yeah, I like it a lot.
Like it?
My dad said when he watched Messi, he's like Stan Bowles. So I started laughing. I mean, really.
I just wish,
and then he sat me down and told me about Stan Bowles. But
I just wish we had a player like that in the squad
Messi.
at the moment. Yeah, it would be nice.
Yeah, whilst we're at it, I'll have Ronaldo up front as well. Then, which is the two of them will boss the league.
We're all. I don't want to embarrass anyone by asking their age, but we look all too young to have seen Stan Bowles play. I know I certainly was, and I'm the youngest one. But he's kind of one of those players that even if you haven't, just kind of his reputation goes before him, and he's ingrained as part of the DNA of the club and the club's greatest player.
Well, Jerry referred to the Malcolm McDonald bet, and I know the photo of him celebrating in front of Malcolm McDonald in that bet. As soon as he said that, I was like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you mean. And yeah, he is, and it's one of those, fans of an older generation. It's Marshall Bowles, isn't it? That's a question.
Yeah.
And I think that's testament to how great a player he was for us. And he was with us for quite a long time.
Yeah, 7-8 years.
Yeah. And
he took over from Rodney Marsh. So which I don't know, I wasn't there, but that's quite it wasn't directly from him, and it wasn't kind of instantaneous, but he had to pick up that mantle. He had to take over. Who's the person who's going to take over from Messi at Barcelona? Messi too, or whoever. Fair play to the club, actually. I was going to say, for what they're doing on Saturday. So it's really sad, but Stan has got Alzheimer's. And so Saturday, as we said in the interview, is the 40th anniversary of the 5-1 win against Derby in that season, the 75-76 season. They're doing loads of things. They're fundraising on the day, which they haven't announced yet, but I know is coming later. Special match shirts, which I think is a really lovely touch.
That's a good gesture. Lovely gesture.
They're replacing the AirAsia have agreed to not be the shirt sponsor on Saturday, and instead they're having the Alzheimer's Society on the shirt, which is a fantastic gesture. What else is there? Stan Bowles' granddaughter is the main QPR mascot, I believe, and sort of various things like the tribute programme, and there's offers on in the club shop on retro shirts and things like that, as well as collection. So the club get quite a lot of stick, but I think I know Ian Taylor and Andy Evans have had quite a lot to do with it, so sort of fair play to them, really.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Other items. What else is on your list, Simon? Seeing as you're driving the show today, because none of the rest of us bothered to sort of make any notes.
What I found most kind of disappointing by Saturday is kind of the club has tried to push. We're very much so kind of going to push youth, kind of give youth a chance. And then looking at the left back and the right back, one's 29, one's mid-30s, kind of one's a relative kind of has-been. What's happened to Suk Young and kind of Darnell Furlong, and why weren't they starting?
We missed Suk Young. He's injured. I think he's back in a couple of weeks. I'm not too sure about Furlong.
And also going back to your formation thing, what you were saying, the 4-2-3-1, which I think is what we were sort of playing, you need fullbacks to be able to bomb on. And I don't remember Perch or Konchesky ever get... they didn't have the best home debuts. For me, Perch, I was like, no, Danny Simpson. It was kind of what I thought a little bit. And
Perch is okay, but he doesn't really offer you much going forward. When Suk Young's fit again, I think he could really cause some damage in this league. He could even possibly play as a winger.
That's why they've signed Konchesky, or Kanchelskis, as my father-in-law kept referring to him.
Troy Orr is still there as well.
He can do damage.
Yeah.
He can do damage.
But they've signed Konchesky until these guys get fit again, haven't they? I would have thought.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
Let's hope.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's the only position he can cover, really. I've not... Oh, God, dear. Clint Hill's injured. Konchesky plays centre-back. No, I don't want to see it. I thought Hill... He scored.
Great header.
Yeah.
Do you know what, though?
Textbook.
We're so forgiving of Hill. We are so forgiving because he let him in for the first goal.
I think Hill...
Which we all don't talk about because it's Clint Hill. So we move on.
Yeah, true.
But he did.
For me, Hill had a relatively bad game. Both Hill and Anua, to me, looked relatively quite slow and kind of not to the required level.
Usually what people say about Anua, is it?
As a combined team, that back four is kind of far too slow for this league.
Hill was instrumental in the first 3 goals. He scored one, let someone in for the other one, and then he just handballed it to Austin for our second
assist. He'd be brilliant if there was a Premier League fantasy football for the championship.
So with 14 days left, it's 2 weeks today. The transfer window closes. What do we need?
We need not to sell 2 or 3 of our first team players on deadline day without any replacements, and you can just see it happening now. No one's going to pay Austin's £15 million fee until right at the last minute. Won't give us enough time to replace him.
Austin will go. Let's say it here now. Don't anyone at the club fool themselves. Austin will go.
We'll get his replacement in before then.
Be like Remy, and
exactly.
Someone in the Premier League will do worse, and Sunderland will lose another 2-3 games and panic on the 1st of September.
We've got money from the Sterling deals that we've sold. Just use that to buy another forward and sell Austin on the last minute, just for as much as you can get for him.
Yeah,
it's going to be what?
Buy a forward who's going to get 15 goals for us this year in the Championship. And and kind of bite the bullet and think we'll recoup the money when Austin goes, because exactly what you said. Yeah, exactly what you said. Some Premier League teams will panic. We may even get a bidding war. But wouldn't it be nice for it to be kind of the onus not on us? We've got somebody that we need. It's great. Charlie's on his way out. We're just waiting to get the money to come in.
Yeah. If you don't sell him now and he doesn't sign a new contract, then he goes for nothing.
Yeah.
What other players did we see for the first time? Simon's said what he thinks of J. Emmanuel Thomas. Anyone else got a view on him?
Oh dear, because I think, didn't he just try to hoof a ball, then lose it, and then ultimately that led to the goal?
I thought, and also I thought bad finishing let us down on Saturday.
Yes.
He finished poorly. I think Phillips should have done better. I know it was a great save when he sort of came in from the right, and the keeper made 2 good saves at 2 different points, but he should have done better there. And Austin also won. He didn't finish like Charlie Austin when it got cleared off the line by Connolly.
That was unlucky because it sort of rebounded, hit the post, hit a defender or something like that. Phillips tends to be much better at instinctive finishes, wallops or great things on the moment, but when he's got time, he always tends to not put it away.
Do we think Phillips is going to go? Because I think that would be a massive miss if he does.
Yeah. Oh, I think they're desperate to get rid of Hoylett as well, but he's on big wages.
The Phillips one is the decision they need to make now and be firm about it. Either go or he is not going. There's no pressure to sell him because he's in contract and got several years on his contract. But that would, I think that it would be, let's accept Charlie's going, but don't kind of acquiesce, which is a word I've never used on the podcast before. Don't acquiesce to the 1st of September and then Matt Phillips goes. We won't be prepared for that.
Leroy Fer, is he going?
Well, I think that would be the intention, wouldn't it?
Well, provided he can pass a medical. I think ironically based, although we signed a lot of midfielders, I think we need another midfielder, and I can't believe I'm actually saying that. There needs to be, I would love Ali Fallin to partner longer. But that could be brilliant, but he's going to get injured.
They're too similar, I think. I don't think they'll play those two together. And Ramsey came out last week and said, Fallin's going to be used sparingly. He's a ball player. So when
that's good. It's
so basically, he's going to play him against shit teams.
I'm not.
I thought we weren't going to get the E for swearing.
we won't stop and go over that. We'll just have to live with that. I do think. I know he's a friend of the show and all that. I do think Fallin's been. I know this sounds weird. Unfairly tarnished with being injury prone. He had the same injury 3 times, but he didn't get any other injuries. All right, so he'll be all right.
Oh, I hope so. He's my all-time favourite player.
Yeah,
I have
really?
no shame. Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
I don't actually want him to play again because he's such a beautiful footballer. I couldn't get him getting injured for a 4th time. It would break my heart.
Okay, believe it or not, this has been so much fun, folks, that we're nearly at the end. So we are at the R's end. We haven't talked about Yeovil. It was Yeovil we played, wasn't it? 3-0. We won. We haven't talked about Wolves. Wrap it all up in your R's end, which is the bit at the end. Anything else we haven't got in? Anything you'd like to talk about? Who wants to go first? Simon, you're definitely the best prepared, so you can go first.
Just on Saturday, I found the atmosphere very, very flat. And I've kind of noticed this over the last few years of going up into the Premier League. The atmosphere at Loftus Road isn't what it used to be. So kind of for the next home game, if we can try and ump the atmosphere a little bit and actually make going down to Loftus Road an enjoyable experience, I think would be beneficial for everybody.
Jim?
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's to do with the affordability of football and other people going to the football these days, and that's affecting it. I thought Yeovil, very briefly, Cole, wherever you call him, he played.
We'll call him
Cole. He was excellent, and I wouldn't mind seeing him have a go if we're in a position that we can do that. Hopefully, we can get a point at Wolves and get 3 points against Rotherham.
Chris?
My R's end is that QPR they have to win on Saturday. 1, because it's Stan Bowles Day, and number 2 is my nephew Albert's first ever QPR game, 2 years old. And so my brother has picked this game because he thinks we've got a chance of winning it.
Do you know what? It's my daughter Lily's first game on Saturday, and I've picked it for very similar reasons. I've picked it because it's kind of going to be quite a friendly atmosphere, quite sort of. I thought, should I take her to Cardiff? No. So I can't believe I'm saying this, but yeah, let's have a great atmosphere at Loftus Road. Maybe if you're in the family stand, because I've moved my ticket there for the day, tone down the swearing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it for the same reason. You were about to jump in there, Jim.
No, I was going to say I took my wife to see QPR Blackburn, and it was a 1-1, and I went on the basis maybe we'll get 3 points. We didn't. She's never come back.
And your Orange Mike has just reminded me that sandwich in the middle. We've got Wolves away tomorrow night, which is going to be really difficult.
All right, so we'll finish on the 2 predictions for the 2 games. Let me do the messages first, because I forgot to do them at the start, didn't I? So you can thank you for listening. Those who have, you can follow us on Twitter at QPR Pod. You can, if you go on Facebook, search for the QPR Podcast, find us there, follow us there. Our website, where all old episodes and various other things are there, go to qprpod.co.uk. That's all I need to tell you. Predictions for Wolves and Rotherham.
I think we'll get 3 points from those games. I think we'll lose 3-1 to Wolves and beat Rotherham 3-0.
I can't bring myself to say we will lose at Wolves, but I don't think we'll get much out of it, but I think we'll beat Rotherham. So draw, win. By the way, I said oh, no, I got my prediction wrong on Saturday. I was about to say I got it right. Go on.
No, ditto. I can't bring myself to say we're going to lose so early on. So draw against Wolves and hopefully 2-0 against Rotherham.
Simon?
Wolves seem a quality team this year, so a loss against Wolves 1-0. And let's be really optimistic against Rotherham. Let's go for a 6-0.
Yeah.
Poulter, double hat-trick.
6-0. Sounds good to me. Thank you very much for listening. This has been the QPR podcast. Come on, you R's.
QPR, QPR, 12's Rangers are on the up and up. QPR, QPR, now we're heading for European Cup.
This podcast is a West 12 Media and Burble Media production.